parents, we are the ones who hold our students, not our children, as well as the teachers accountable. What is your engagement strategy with the parents?
When you join the Arden family, you have to be prepared to use the technology. Every student has his or her own login information, email address, everything. Everything is done online. We are working towards reducing constantly how much paper we use. So you don't get a report from Arden. If you want a report, you have to pay for it. If you wanted a printed report, you have to pay for it. So our parents are, and within a term of being at Arden, you are introduced to the technology, so you are able to get on. We have perhaps one of the strongest PTAs in Jamaica. It's very strong. They actually have an office at school. So, and we have constant meetings. We have a network of parent representatives, and we do a lot of training and share a lot of information with them. So it is, and constant training as well, where it's necessary. If a parent is having a challenge navigating the system, we have a systems administration team with an awesome systems administrator who they are responsible for training people. So we don't just throw people in the deep end. Sorry, I didn't mention that before.
Yeah, so my question is in relation, and it's based on the education sector. So again, I think it's Mrs. Malloy again. So with ChatGPT and the proliferation of all of these wonderful things, it presents a clear and present danger for educators, whether those educators are at the secondary level or the tertiary level. So my question is, having regard to that, what is being done in terms of ensuring that when papers are presented by students, they are checked using the technology to verify if the paper was prepared by, for example, ChatGPT. For sociology assignment, student does one night, in the blink of an eye, just prepared it without doing the rigorous research. What is being done to ensure that technology is being used to ensure that all submissions, all papers are robustly checked?
Okay, so within about one or two assignments of working with a student, speaking with a student, their writing style, their style, their expression styles. So I asked ChatGPT to write a recommendation for me, and I would have a challenge to sign that recommendation. It doesn't sound like I wrote it. Okay, so we know writing styles, that's one. We also have AI checkers. There has been Turnitin for a very long time, and others. And they're different. All of the AI tools that are out there now, there are checkers that we use for them. And of course, like I said, in the examination, we watch them in the V space. And when they turn in electronic papers, in Word or whatever, when you do that cut and paste, it can still be traced. Yeah. And especially then another one with the language, sometimes they use words that you have not taught them. So all kinds of little cues, and this example we got with Hush, that type of, we see those kinds of errors, and so it's really not hard.
We have another question.
You hear me now?
Yes.
I just want to thank you all because I have learned so much. But there is a concern that I have. One is that a lot of kids have killed themselves because of bullying online, because they're so absorbed with the phone and the content and whatever it is that they're doing. So that's one concern, because I know that I'm old enough so I can leave my phone at home for several hours and not feel that I'm dying and deliberately do that. But there are others that I know and I'm associated with who are 20, 30 years old that can't leave their phone alone And if they leave if they're without the phone for 1 minute, they're going to kill themselves. So that's one concern that I have. And then recently, of course, there was one of the modern, I guess, pioneers of AI in the last 10 years recently resigned, saying that they had concerns that within the near future, one robot will be able to communicate within seconds with another robot, and the robots will take charge of our existence. So I just wanted to comment on that and how we can deal with that. Proceed.
If I may speak to the bullying, I've been teaching for 31 years, and bullying has always been with us. It's just the method of bullying now. It's nothing new. And I'm not sure about how many children if the numbers have increased with children harming themselves because of bullying. There are also instances where some of the things that students complain of as bullying is not necessarily bullying, but their response to what is happening. The answer to that is a careful monitoring of what is happening with the students and using your guidance program and the homeschool connection to treat with the issues that are taking place in the school that would push students in that direction. And we are certainly much more aware and much more responsive to social and emotional issues. If you notice, I spoke about it as something that we are aware of as being perhaps more important because of the isolation that overuse of the technology occasions. So that is how we would be dealing with it. In terms of the chatbot that is destroying the world now, I leave it to these other eminent persons.
Well, you know, human beings, you give them toys. After a while, these toys can become dangerous. So, I mean, the truth is, there's only time will actually tell. The machines are actually learning. A lot of these data science will tell you that they are not even sure anymore what the machines have actually learned. But we still fight traditional wars, like what is happening in Ukraine. But cyber warfare is actually even more dangerous. And I think with the AI, it is definitely very affordable. You know, you break into powerful computer systems, and the AI itself is very mischievous. I've seen where the AI actually tell blatant lies, and that's why if you're not smart, and obviously telling a blatant lie because some computer program will also think it's cheeky, and then the stupid people will actually believe in the lies. I think you spoke about that earlier as well. So it is actually very, very dangerous. It wasn't chaos. It was one of those GPTs where if you don't pay a subscription, sometimes it just don't believe you deserved the right answer. And then if you're stupid, you won't know. So, it's the only time it's going to tell. Want to come? No.
Just a question, I think, to Mrs. Malloy. With regard to something that you had said earlier, with regard to students using like ChatGPT to write essay. But I also know that some students use the ChatGPT to write the essay, and they use things like Quillbot to edit it and give you a different version of what that is put there, which sometimes would be harder to trace. Only if you'd like to.
It can be more difficult to trace, but it doesn't take too long before the what one student called it? I don't remember what the student told me this morning, but it's almost like he said anti-AI. I don't remember the exact word that he used, term that he used. But it doesn't take too long before we are able to catch up. So a few will get away, like the one who attempted to hack into the exams today, and we found out. We traced it right to where it was happening, and we used the camera and we know who did it, but we're just, moving along. So they will get away with it for a short while, but not forever. Not forever.
And how do parents monitor this?
Teach morals. It's just moral suasion. Yeah.
Good evening. Right Worshipful Master, Right Worshipful District Master, panelists, brethren all. My questions, 2 questions are particularly directed to Mr. Anderson and Brother Williams. I was looking for this in both of your presentations. Number 1, will AI eventually protect the consumer from fraud? And number 2, will AI make it eventually easier for the consumer to open a bank account, to get a credit rating, to get pre-qualification with banks and all that, instead of running all over the place and checking different agencies? Thank you.
So, yes, to all of the questions. So, AI will definitely make it easier for a financial institution to protect its customers from fraud. It will also make it easier for us to identify what my friend referred to as know your customers. So it will allow us for you to open accounts in the comfort of your home, and we can use video validation and those things to enhance the security around it, so you don't have to visit the branch to physically sign documents and stuff like that. So yes, AI will further enhance our capabilities and ability to detect suspicious and fraudulent activities and put mitigating measures in place to deal with it, and also further enhance the customer experience.
There's really nothing more I can add to what Dane said. AI will do all of that and much more, but of course there's also this reality that the same thing that creates all these positive things can also be a negative. So there is that side that any institution that have a responsibility to implement and to utilize and to use have to ensure that they have all these counteracting measures in place to protect the users and to protect their institution.
Is that going to be part of the policy-making decisions that, yes, this is going to be included in our banking or our financial sector going forward, that AI has to generate this, and this is part of being more productive in our financial sector, that you don't have to, how do you get the JPs?
Right, I think Dean said it, and I mentioned it, AI is currently here, and it is being used, right? So the fact of the matter is, people they are using AI to assist in fraud detection now, as we speak. It is being used. They are using, and you see what you have to also recognize. There are a lot of flavors of the solution of the tool, right? We talk about there's also a subset which we call machine learning, which is probably more pervasive and more widely used than the full-blown AI, which is the cognitive, the tool that is more cognitive than have more the cognitive skills than machine learning. But it is being used as we speak. Right? I think Dane wants to add.
One of the things that AI will do for us, and I can't wait, I think NIDS will further enhance that as well. Imagine walking into the ATM, you don't have your card or anything, and just walk up to the ATM and look into a camera, and internally I'm able to detect that the customer is who they are and allow you to do a transaction. Or you just walk into the banking hall and automatically I know who this customer is, and you have to present no form of identification or anything like that. Or you just tap your finger and we get your thumbprint and we are able to identify who you are at the ATM and allow you to do transaction without any physical card or have to input any username or password. Those are some of the things that AI will allow us, and machine learning coupled together, would allow us to do for our customers.
Let me just add examples of fraud detection are systems like intrusion protection systems, intrusion detection systems, which are very mature and are very used, and they use AI type algorithms, machine learning algorithms to identify cyber threats and to detect them and prevent them and correct them. So it is meaningful.
Just playing devil advocate, the banks are actually getting more hit with fraud than ever before. The best protection that we have as Jamaicans is to educate ourselves, right? The banks have reached a stage where they have to buy insurance, special insurance for cyber protection and all that. But at the same time, there are several cases where when a client gets hit with fraud and come to the bank, if they say they're using a computer that's not their own, if they're accessing it from a public network, they won't give you back your money, right? You're talking about NCB just said they will not send you an email with a link. But a lot of people don't understand that, so they're going to click on the link. The other day, the government put up some new way of doing, taking immigration information. And somebody beat the government and put up a fake website and collect people money. So it is, I must tell you, the bank is spending more money and hiring more bright people like my friend here, right? But it is so lucrative that the key, I said, is you have to learn to protect yourself. You don't want to go in the bank and tell the bank, say, boy, you get wiped out. Because pure question when I ask you, and then when they say that you're at fault, dog them is up.
There's something similar coming, well, it is in education already, and it is going to be here with us for examinations called, and you might have heard of it, proctoring, where the students will know when they are doing an exam in an e-mode, they will have to, there will be facial recognition, all kinds of stuff. So that's coming soon, because that's where CXC has been heading for the last 10 years. And even at the universities, those things are going to come, because we have seen where students are bent on cheating. And that's the only way that you're going to get around it, when you use the same kind of technology, which I believe is what they're using when you enter places like the United States. I was coming back from Iceland recently, and I dealt with nobody when I was checking in. Absolutely nobody. From passport to visa to luggage, I dealt with no one. So it's coming, it's not going.
So, right, worshipful District Grandmaster. Right, worshipful Master. Sir Paul, my question is for you. So we just heard of the needs mentioned and a lot of persons in society are skeptical of needs and what it will hold and capture information. And as well as from an e-gov or government point, what's the cost associated with protecting the government services or identity or all the things that we'll be part of? If you can share some, and you mentioned friends in Dubai, etc. Can you share some global examples of what the cost is? Because it must be very hefty to all stay one step ahead of the persons who would use AI for nefarious means, etc., etc. So I'm just curious as to what the cost may be.
It's a very lucrative area to get into when it comes to security. I don't know if anybody here is thinking about it, but yeah, well, in terms of the government struggles with a budget every year, and they are spending more on security, and there's a need for it. Are they spending enough? No, they're not. But I don't want to be in terms of the amount, but it would be a huge part. For example, if the IT cost in the government right now is probably, outside of people, it's very close to the people cost, right? And security itself would probably be the number one in terms of an IT budget itself. Before it wasn't like that, but you will have huge departments now as government would have now dedicated to security. The challenge that government has is that, we're not, everything's not centralized as yet. The best way for security is to centralize, and then you have a footprint that you're going to be protected. When you're decentralized, and you're still connected. You're so, it's like you have a house with about 5 different doors where you can enter from. Right? And each one of them doors are not really secure. It don't make no sense. It's better you have a front door and a back door, and you have cameras covering them, and you're more secure. So government is kind of decentralized, but there's a plan, centralized government services, looking at hiring a new country CIO that all the technology will actually come under, and there will be strict policies and procedures to guide all ministries of government in terms of the protocols to follow. So like Denon spoke about the AI task force, things like that. So approach things in a way that everybody follow a standard. If not, some people are going to have breaches because you're only as strong as the weakest link.
All right, good night, everybody. Dean, this one is for you. Asking for a friend. All right, so I work somewhere that does a whole lot of point of sale transactions daily. And this is just long-time technology. So where it's going now, if, for example, a transaction falls through, comes off that side but doesn't show on my side, it has been a challenge to get an established decision as to how the transaction will be treated. A lot of times you hear, wait 40 days, it might show back in the customer's account. Let us say the choppers find a way to get my voice, and they decide to go chop my account. I know you're not so much on the side of regulation, but you would be speaking to the regulators. Give us an idea how the regulations are developing, so that if I can prove that it was not me, but the very innovative choppers who got into my account, how is the regulation trending in terms of protection, as my uncle said, what you're putting in place for us, the 84-year-olds and the emerging. So where is it leading there? How much protection will have, given that you may have enough evidence to say, okay, this may have been an AI intrusion?
Okay, so firstly, if a financial institution, all right, so let me wear my act as the chairman of the Jamaica Bankers Association Anti-Fraud Committee. So all financial institution has an obligation to protect its customer that entrench in the Banking Services Act. We must provide a level of protection and service to our customer. So outside of the known cyber threat, where customers unwittingly make themselves vulnerable to cyber attacks, if a financial institution investigates a particular circumstances and realize that the customer played no part in it, the financial institution, out of good customer service gesture, will more than likely accede to restoring the customer to what it was before the fraud would have occurred. But there are certain circumstances now, and I know the last time I made some public utterances in this regard, it caused some jitters in some circles around customers. It is a relationship, it is a partnership. The banks have their role to play, and customers also have their part to play in it. Customers cannot continue to unwittingly surrender their information. If I give you a username and I give you a password, you have a responsibility to protect it as well. If you write it down on a piece of paper and your neighbor come or your helper come and utilize it, then it would be unreasonable to come to the bank and say, boy, the systems that you have in place is not safe and secure. As it relates to the legislators now, one of the things we plan to do as an association, we did some research recently and realized that Singapore has a very good legislation. What it does is that they pass a law which put a significant amount of pressure on customers, quota, and I'm using customers now loosely, who make their account available to criminals to pass money through. So if your account is involved in fraud, there's almost a twin punishment. As the cyber criminal and as the facilitator of the fraud, you are punished equally. I think Jamaica could benefit significantly from a legislation like that. There's a significant amount of the population that is willingly or unwillingly facilitating these type of activities. They are making their accounts available to cyber criminals when they compromise customer account in order to pass those money through and extract them from the customer's account. But the customers also must take some responsibility and also educate themselves. It's just like when you purchase a new car, there's a manual associated with it that shows you some features in it. When the digital push is made, the customers, the banks, and the JBA, Jamaica Bankers Association, must also educate the customers as it relates to best practices, but the customers themselves also must take some responsibility and educate themselves about some of the pitfalls that exist out there. It's just like when you have your house, you have to put some, you purchase the house from a realtor, and the realtor tell you that they sell you a nice house in Norbrook, but you can't go to bed and leave the front door open. You have to put some security protocols in place to protect it. It's similar in banking. Even if we say the system is safe and secure, if you go into a factory and use public Wi-Fi to access your banking information, it is highly likely that cyber criminal is going to intercept the information and get access to your username and password. Those circumstances, it is unreasonable for those customers to come kicking and screaming to financial institutions to say that your system is not safe and secure, but it is the practices of those customers that would have caused them to fall victim to cyber criminal. So again, I'll close by saying it is a partnership. We'll play our part and the customers must play their part as well.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Godiva Goulding, and my question is directed at Mrs. Malloy. Now, I